Hello, my name is David M and I'm a security researcher with Kaspersky Lab. Today is Safer Internet Day and I'm here to tell you about what the potential risks are of going online, but also to tell you some simple steps that you can follow to stay safe when you're online. Well, first of all, what's the nature of the threat? A few years ago, all we had to deal with was cyber vandals. These were people who wanted to cause some sort of disruption on our computer, maybe damage our data, but they certainly weren't looking to make money from what we did. Well, these days, cyber criminals dominate the threat landscape. Cyber criminals who are intent on making money from the things that we do when we go online. Well, how does that work? Well, they write viruses, they write worms and trojans, rootkits, phishing scams, spyware, all of these programs which we call collectively malware. By writing those programs and trying to get them onto our computers, they actually look to gather information on what we're doing. So, for example, if your machine is being controlled by a Trojan program, that Trojan will capture information when you type it into your computer. So if you go to your bank site, if you go to a social networking site, if you go to any site online and type in a password, for example, they can capture that information and use it to access your online bank account or your social networking account or an auction account or anything you do online. So that's basically it. Cyber criminals want your data, and they want your data to pretend to be you and get access to your money. If that's what they want, how do they do it? Well, they have to deliver that malicious program to your computer, and they do that in one of a number of ways. They do it sometimes through email. So when you read the email and it comes with an attachment, if you click on that attachment, that installs the malicious program. It could be that you use instant messaging and you get a message and it has a link on it. You click on the link and it takes you to a website which is controlled by the cyber criminal, and it installs a malicious program on your computer, and again, from that point they control what you do online. It could be, in fact, just sharing information using a social networking site. Could be a risky business. Remember, if you go to Facebook or MySpace or any of the social networking services, the idea behind it is to share information, keep in touch with your friends, meet new friends and so on. But remember that all of that information about you that goes on the site, that could be accessed by somebody else. It may be that a friend's account gets hacked, in which case you think you're talking to your friend, you think you're sharing information with a friend, but you're sharing it with a hacker. So we have to be very careful about what we do online. How do we be careful? What are the things we need to do to stay safe online? Well, the first thing is make sure your computer is protected. Make sure there's internet security software installed. Keep it up to date and don't disable it. Don't remove it from the system, because that way you expose yourself to a bigger risk. The second thing is make sure that the system itself is secure. Windows, of course, gives you the option to automatically install security patches. Don't disable that. That's very important for securing your computer. It's also important to remember that there are applications on your computer that may not actually be updated automatically. So any application you use, keep it up to date. That reduces the risk that cyber criminals can worm their way onto your system and use your computer for their purposes. Back up your data regularly to a DVD or a CD, USB drive or a USB key. Keep your personal data somewhere else so that if something goes wrong with your computer and you have to set it up from scratch, you can restore all that data, all those photos and all the music and documents and anything else that you keep that's precious to you. Now, in addition to that, be very, very careful when you're online about sharing information. Remember, you don't see somebody face to face on the internet, so you don't know that you're talking to who you're talking to. You can't secure them, in other words. So just be very wary that the person chatting to you in a chat room, that the person who sent you an email, the person who sent you an instant message, may not be your friend at all. It could be a complete stranger trying to get information about you. It's also important, if anything bothers you online, if you're not comfortable with something that somebody says to you, share that information with one of your parents. It's very important because they can help you if you need to pursue that further. If somebody is approaching you in a chat room and you're not very comfortable with what they're doing, then it may be that you can take that up with the police. So share that with your parents. Share your online experience with an adult, and they can give you good advice about how to stay safe online and keep yourself safe from people online who want to threaten you in some way. In addition to that, make sure that the passwords you use when you go online are sensible passwords. Please try and avoid using the same password for every account online. And don't just recycle the passwords. For example, David1 for one account, David2 for another account, David3 for the next one. Try to keep passwords which are unique. And it may be that because you can't remember 20 or 30 passwords, just try to write down a method for creating a password. Maybe you could have a passphrase, like I went to the shops today, and your password would be IWTTST. Nobody's going to be able to guess that passphrase, especially if you put some other characters in there just to mix it up a little bit. So try to keep a secure password, try to use a different password for every account. I'm David M. I work for Kaspersky Lab. Make sure you stay safe, not just today, but whenever you go online.